And news you need. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. It was a big day at the Cash Humane Society on Saturday with 50 cats scheduled to be spayed or neutered during a free feline fix event. Cash Humane Director Stacey Fisk said the event was a cooperative effort between the local animal shelter and Bridgerland Audubon Society. Fisk explained that demand was even higher than they expected. All appointments were full within 3 hours of them opening online registration. The goal of the free feline fix event was to support the general health of feline pets in the area and to mitigate the local population of feral cats in the wild, according to Fisk. The cost of the spay-neuter operations was defrayed by a recent $5,000 fundraising campaign by the Bridgerland Audubon Society. The funds were solicited online, with group officials stressing that the free feline fix event was needed to fill a local service void, since neither Logan City nor Cache County offer control services for cats. KVNU News Time is 5:06. KVNU weather for tonight: cloudy, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms this evening, and then partly cloudy after midnight. Some thunderstorms may produce strong gusty winds and small hail this evening. Overnight low in the lower 40s. Mostly sunny, upper 70s tomorrow. It was 72 today. Right now, cloudy skies, 67 degrees at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. Work with their Cache Valley team to build a stronger, more durable, long-lasting structure for your needs today. Visit northernsteelbuilding.com. or call 435-677-7300.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
KVNU News Time is 5:07. Today, Governor Spencer J. Cox called state legislators to meet in special session this Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. The governor authorized 22 issues to be considered by lawmakers, including crucial budget issues involving federal funds available through the American Rescue Plan, technical changes to bills passed in the 2021 session, as well as several bills added at the request of legislators. They include a prohibition on face mask requirements in schools and changes to electronic cigarettes. The governor also sent a letter to legislators explaining reasons why he did not include critical race theory and Second Amendment sanctuary state on the call. And a man was arrested on suspicion of DUI and other charges early Sunday morning after ramming a West Valley City police cruiser with his vehicle, according to police. KUTV reports officers were called to a home at about 1:20 a.m. According to a probable cause affidavit, residents called to report a loud party and trespassing on their property. Police were told a fight broke out at the party and gunshots were fired. When they arrived at the address in question, officers saw people leaving and tried to stop a couple to talk to them, according to Sergeant Christopher Walsh with West Valley City Police. One of the people identified in jail documents as 23-year-old Erasmo Adam Galdine got into a car and tried to back out of a driveway, hitting one of the West Valley officers' patrol cars. The officer was not inside the car when it was hit. KVNU News Time is 5:09. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
You've talked about it for years.
Someday, I want to take down those trees, build a gazebo, and plant a garden.
For you, that someday is today.
Whole Tree Care is who Cache Valley trusts to prune, shape, and remove trees. Nobody has more experience. Fruit trees, dead trees, overgrown trees. Call Whole Tree Care. 760-6587. Ask about a radio discount. Whole Tree Care, 760-6587. Online at wholetreecare.com.
Spring is the season to get outside and do a project or two. A good place to get started is Stevens Forest Products. Pick up bark, mulch, or compost by the bag for $1 or $2 less at Stevens, or buy it in bulk and save even more. Stevens is also your best source for flagstone, perfect for patios and walkways. Choose from 7 color choices. Pick up a few pieces or take home a pallet. Delivery options are available. Stevens is also home to over 5,000 in-stock railroad ties with prices beginning at $13.99. Stevens Forest Products, between Smithfield and Logan at 3277 North Main.
This is for those who always show they care, who told their kids everyone 12 and older is eligible for a COVID vaccine. Those who explained to their cousins that vaccines prevent nearly 100% of hospitalizations and deaths from COVID-19. This is for the ones protecting those they love. Thank you.
We can do this. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov, paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The Cove, active adult community in Hyde Park, is one of Cache Valley's premier 55-plus communities. Visionary Homes created The Cove with easy living and knowing your neighbors in mind, along with low-maintenance yards, snow removal, a pickleball court, and picnic area for active senior adults. You'll love your brand-new home and your surroundings in The Cove by Visionary Homes. Act soon, only a few home sites remain. Visionary Homes understands what you want in a home. Visit buildwithvisionary.com for more information. Built for living, built for you.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Hour 2 of today's show, Monday, May 17th. I'm Jason Williams. Appreciate everyone tuning in today. Coming up this hour, bears. We're going to be talking about bears and a very unusual warning issued by the Utah Department of Wildlife Resources today for parts of Utah probably not used to a bear warning. We'll talk about why that's happening and more later on in the show. Kicking things off here, though, this hour, we have a very special guest joining us from our friends at the Utah branch of the American Heart Association. They are a part of an upcoming event called Cycle Nation, and this is an opportunity to join the fight to ensure every person has the opportunity of a full and healthy life through some surprisingly very easy steps each individual can take to avoid or reduce the risk, at least, of a critical heart event or a stroke. The American Heart Association Utah has put together something that's perfect for the era we're in as well. This is both an opportunity to get involved, to raise money for the association, but also to get some exercise and have fun. And they're calling it Cycle Nation Utah. To talk to us about the event, we have with us the American Heart Association Utah's Business Development Director, someone overseeing the Cycle Nation project here in Utah, Stacey Owens. And Stacey, appreciate you taking some time for KVNU today. If you can, start us off, tell us what is Cycle Nation?
Well, thanks so much, Jason. Cycle Nation is a really fun, high-energy event that is really focused on stroke and stroke knowledge. And so this week, we have the Week of Wellness, and it's the American Stroke Association is the sponsor as well. And it's going on right now. Each daily theme includes ways to pump you up through fun and healthy activities. And so you can ride wherever you are. So you don't have to have a bike. You can also move beyond the bike and track your minutes of physical activity with our new Cycle Nation app, which they can just download right on their phone. There's no cost to participate, but when you register at cyclenation.org/Utah, we're hoping people will donate and fundraise to support life-saving stroke and heart research, but it's not necessary. And it is sponsored locally by Optum Care, University of Utah Health, Edwards Life Sciences, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Foundation. And just so you know, it's not too late to register and join us this Friday, May 21st, for Cycle Nation's Happiest Half Hour, which will be at 4 o'clock, and it's on Zoom, so anyone can participate.
Very cool.
Yeah, so you just visit cyclenation.org/Utah, and we're really excited. It just gives, a way for people to give back and also learn about stroke and how to avoid it.
It's been fun, Stacey, to look over the website today in preparation for our interview here, that to see some of the companies raising money, some of the individuals raising money. I won't use his name on air in case he doesn't want it on air, but there's one individual here in Utah that somehow in a very short period of time has raised $1,200 for his Cycle Nation team. And everyone can do this, right? You said you don't have to be a part of a team or have a sponsor or anything like that. You don't even have to make or generate a donation. You can join for free. But a lot of people are taking this and using it as a personal fundraising event for their support of the American Heart and American Stroke Associations. Is that how does a person go about that?
So you just go online and register at cyclenation.org/Utah. You can join as an individual. If you want to create a team, you can do that. And that's probably how that person raised so much money.
Very cool.
What we find is people share their personal why. So you can create your own personal page through Cycle Nation app and, put why you care. And there's people that are cycling for someone that they've lost due to heart disease or stroke, or a survivor, or someone in their family that has been impacted by this. And so that really helps people feel inspired to want to donate and want to make a difference for their loved ones.
This event, again, is Friday, May 21st. The invitation reads, Ride with Us in Utah, Digital Experience. The American Stroke Association and the American Heart Association working on the Cycle Nation event. CycleNation.org. Again, you can also visit the Heart Association's website and click the link there, which is heart.org, an easy one to remember. And Stacey, this is this caught my eye. So first off, you guys are about 70% towards your goal of fundraising for this event, but your real goal is to get people thinking, talking, and taking steps when it comes to the health of their heart to reduce the risk of stroke. And it surprises me looking through the Heart Association and Stroke Association websites here in Utah. These are easy things to do.
Absolutely. Before I joined the American Heart Association, I didn't know a lot of this. And the one thing in terms of stroke that's so easy to remember is the acronym FAST. And basically what it stands for is S is for face drooping, A is for arm weakness, S is for speech impaired, and T is for time to call 911. So if you're having any of these symptoms, it's time to call 911. They call it time is brain. So the quicker you get to the ER, the much better you are. And in our happiest half hour this Friday, we will have a stroke survivor speak. And it's a woman who, had a stroke after she had a baby. And it's really amazing how stroke is impacting younger and younger people. And so that's why it's such a good partnership with Cycle Nation, because it really brings in the young people that really don't know that they're at risk for a stroke.
Sure. And I mentioned, the timing on this being perfect. Everyone is kind of looking for something to do right now. We're seeing the new normal around the corner when it comes to the winding down of the pandemic, but a lot of events still, a lot of event organizers still holding off. And so here you go. This Friday, May 21st, you have an excuse to do something fun, a virtual event, digital experience overall. Cycle Nation Utah, and again, that's cyclenation.org. Stacey, the work you guys do there at the American Heart and Stroke Associations here in Utah spans everything from working with lawmakers to inform legislation and public policy, to working with healthcare centers, hospitals, and more to get the latest information out there. But I see here on the website there's a lot of direct information as well. The warning signs you mentioned there, the FAST system, and more. But also hands-on only or hands-only CPR training and opportunities for people to volunteer as well.
Absolutely. This year's been such a challenge for all of us and has really highlighted why our work continues to be so critical. And so, with the help from those that are participating in Cycle Nation and many others, we can raise funds that, directly impact nutrition insecurity, health inequity, hypertension, and tobacco vaping. COVID-19 has really highlighted the overwhelming disparity between our neighborhoods and our communities, and we find ourselves with an opportunity to drive change and impact the health for all of Utah. And so these are just the areas that we're really focused on. And, with the help of you and so many others, we're able to make the impact we need to.
And it's such an important thing. If we give everyone out there a statistic I remember reading a few months ago, heart disease, for example, or critical heart events, they have a tendency to be, first off, very avoidable. And two, they tend to hit women more often, right? This is a known statistic. And in Utah, that does present some additional challenges, right?
Absolutely. And, we're unaware of that. Again, I didn't know that until I, worked here with the American Heart Association. I didn't know women were at an increased risk for heart disease. And so, a lot of it is know your numbers. Be sure, and when you go to the doctor, get your blood pressure tested. Be sure that they're doing it right. And, that's such a good way to know if you're at risk for heart disease or stroke. So, we really encourage you to know your numbers.
And that's, again, such an easy thing to do. Notice here as well, Stacey, the website, heart.org for the American Heart Association overall. There's recipes. But I love this. There's a little video here about getting back to hugs, it's titled, but they're talking about, as you've mentioned a few times, the last year. This has been for people with diabetes, for people with high blood pressure, pre-existing heart conditions before they'd ever even heard of COVID-19. This has been a year of them having to take some extraordinary steps to stay healthy. And for everyone else out there listening, it might be a foreign concept, right? But you guys are dealing with and hearing about these stories every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really, like I said before, it's just highlighted, the risk for people with heart disease and stroke, that they're just at a much higher risk for the complications from COVID-19. And so we've been able to do a lot focused on that, and hands-only CPR is part of that, so that during that time and even now where it's so critical to not be getting in each other's faces, the hands-only CPR is a beautiful way to be able to keep someone breathing and do it in a safe way.
Sure. We should also mention for listeners who use social media, you can tag in with both the American Heart Association Utah and American Stroke Association Utah on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also follow the Cycle Nation Utah hashtag, which is Cycle Nation UT, for this Friday's upcoming Cycle Nation event here in Utah, a digital experience centered around exercise, awareness, information, and education, and, of course, fundraising for the American Stroke and Heart Associations here in Utah, who do some very critical work when it comes to education, when it comes to getting information out there, and you can be a part of it all. Two different ways. Heart.org is a good one-stop shop, but for the event this Friday, May 21st, for Cycle Nation, visit cyclenation.org. And Stacey, one last question for you here. If someone is out there and they would like to just help spread information themselves, you guys have some resources along those lines as well, how people can become sort of spokespeople, volunteer spokespeople for the association.
Yes, absolutely. You mentioned heart.org. There's every type of resource on there. If we've got the Heart and Stroke Walk coming up in September, and that's another great way to, invite people to learn more about the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association. If they do register for Cycle Nation, there are many ways that they can send out emails. They can, share on Facebook. We've got all of the talking points for all of that. And so there's just a myriad of ways that they can get the word out.
Great resources out there all around. I've linked to many of them on our Facebook page. You can simply search on Facebook for the American Stroke Association Utah or American Heart Association Utah or the Cycle Nation event itself, or follow those links, cyclenation.org, heart.org, everything we've discussed here with Stacey. It's easy enough to find. And if you, by the way, are not interested in maybe cycling isn't your thing, even as a digital experience, if you'd like to just make a donation as part of the Cycle Nation fundraiser for the American Stroke Association Utah. You can do that on the website as well. It's this Friday. It's a digital event, and the goal of this is to give you an opportunity as a team or as an individual to fight to ensure that every person has the opportunity for a full, healthy life. Some very easy steps, some very simple education can sometimes make all the difference in a life or death situation. Also, some easy steps there can definitely make all the difference. Learn about all of this via the websites. Our guest, again, has been the Business Development Director at the American Stroke Association Utah, Stacey Owens, talking to us about Cycle Nation Utah, this upcoming event this Friday, May 21st. Registration details, donation details, and more all can be found at cyclenation.org. And Stacey, appreciate taking some time for KVNU for this today, and appreciate the work you guys are out there doing.
Thank you so much. This was a great opportunity to, share with you what we're doing, and we're really excited for Friday. So I hope you and everyone else can join us.
I'll be there. It's
all right,
this
awesome.
Fun event. What a great idea and a great way to get people talking and thinking about all of this. Again, it's this Friday. CycleNation.org is the website for registration information, how to put together a team if you want to do that or more, or even just make a donation if cycling's not your thing. All of that at CycleNation.org. And again, look for the American Heart and Stroke Associations here in Utah on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more. Our guest again, Stacey Owens with the American Stroke Association Utah, Business Development Director there. Stacey, thank you. And listeners, stay tuned. We'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Intermountain Healthcare is a name trusted throughout the state, and Cache Valley is no exception. Ear, nose, and throat doctors Kaiser and Wilson are accepting patients with ear, nose, and throat problems, sudden hearing loss, tonsil infections, sinusitis, and head, neck, and thyroid tumors. For more information about Dr. Kaiser or Wilson, search Budge Clinic ENT on the web or call 435-716-1420. Doctors Kaiser and Wilson provide local care with Intermountain expertise.
Here's Chad, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Just a couple tips for this summer for a healthier lawn. Raise your lawnmower blade a notch or two. Longer grass helps conserve water and fight against stress. Double check your sprinkler coverage and watering times. Then call the lawn doctor to put down a grub preventative and to try our popular new 2-service soil enrichment program.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call the lawn doctor at 753-LAWN or go to LawnDoctorCacheValley.com.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. Some stores that can't find enough workers are taking desperate measures like training clerks and managers to become data scientists. Find out where it's happening. Also, what's the course of action when divorced parents disagree on whether to get their child vaccinated? And why community college remains unaffordable for so many Americans. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Serving overseas was just the beginning. We might be home from war, but our mission continues in communities all across the country. It's why we're out there in times of peace and crisis, providing meals to the hungry and supplies to the sick. It's why we're giving strength to those who are too weak and bringing resources to those without them. Service doesn't stop when we're done serving. It's what makes us the VFW. Learn more at vfw.org.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Thanks again to Stacey Owens for spending some time with us today. Heart.org for the American Heart Association website. On Facebook, simply search for the American Heart Association Utah or the American Stroke Association Utah to stay up on all their events, tips, education, and more. And also for the event this Friday, Cycle Nation, a digital experience to be a part of a fundraiser for the American Heart Association Utah. That is cyclenation.org. This is a great thing they're doing out there. And again, most critical heart events, strokes, are avoidable. That's one of the shocking statistics we see each year. They affect women more so than men. Oftentimes, these are also more prevalent in communities with less frequent or even less available access to health care. And just some simple steps can really be a difference between life and death, both during an event and in your general lifestyle. So check it out and be a part of Cycle Nation by going to cyclenation.org. That is this Friday. Registration is still open. You can do it as an individual or as a team. You can donate money yourself. You can, as Stacey told us, set up a team and then solicit donations from friends, family, and the neighborhood. So check it out. Again, cyclenation.org is the website. I wanted to highlight this little tidbit. We'll know more by tomorrow, so we'll expand and have a more full discussion about this on tomorrow's show. But the day started today with some, what everybody thought was going to be some interesting news about the legislative session kicking off midweek this week. And that news was an exclusive from the Salt Lake Tribune showing that several lawmakers, primarily Republicans in the House here in Utah, the State House, have been pushing leadership to allow a bill banning the teaching of critical race theory in Utah. Now, the special session is supposed to be about money, what to do with all this CARES Act funding coming through the second federal aid package passed at the start of this year, earlier this year, I guess I should say, not the start. And several lawmakers, I guess, wanted this on the agenda. Critical race theory, we won't get into it. It's not taught in Utah. It's actually something that's not taught very many places. It's an old theory. It's been around for a few decades, and it is part of what happens a lot of times at law schools where they just theoretically analyze things. This is something that's always happened. But it's become a hot-button issue, and a lot of people are jumping on this bandwagon. So there's a push by some lawmakers to do the same with the special session. The governor nixed it. Whether legislative leaders are going to respond to that. Now, there was also apparently a push, according to the Salt Lake Tribune, to hear a bill that would make Utah a, quote, Second Amendment sanctuary state. That's mostly a performative move, especially considering gun laws in Utah are already pretty loose. But it was something that some lawmakers felt was important as well. Leadership, apparently, from what the Salt Lake Tribune reports, wasn't pushing back on these, but the governor was, saying that this upcoming special session needs to be focused, tight, and these will just be distractions. And then Governor Cox said himself, when it comes to, for example, critical race theory, it's not even being taught in Utah. So we're not really addressing a problem by spending time discussing it. The governor getting some blowback from that, but we'll see whether legislative leaders play along. They do have the power to fight the governor on the agenda for a special session, but in this case, they did not call the special session themselves. It was called through the governor's office. Both ways are legit now here in Utah. They can call themselves into special session, or as it was always tradition before voters gave them that power in 2018, they can wait for the governor to do it. In this case, the governor did it, so the governor gets to technically call the shots. But there are some rumblings that legislative leadership might force his hand a bit and bring these issues into the special session this week. So it could be one to get your popcorn out for, to say the least. My guess is they're going to stick to the real business at hand. This is a lot of money, $1.5 billion, and they have just a few days in the special session, two, in fact, maybe just one, to try and decide where it's all going to go. That's a pretty heavy load that they're going to be trying to work their way through starting this Wednesday. So we'll talk about the session and have more definition for the session, whether or not these other issues will or will not be a part of the special session this Wednesday on tomorrow's show. But there's at least a little window into what is currently debated on what they will and will not be talking about in this special session. Still no word or any signs or hints of where they're all at, leadership-wise at least, on where the money should go. But it is $1.5 billion plus another $1.1 billion going to counties and cities. This is a legislative session to not miss. And you can not miss that at le.utah.gov. And we'll talk about it more on tomorrow's show. And again, we should have some better clarity on what's going to be on the agenda. But if you'd like to see what has been discussed so far today, the back and forth between the governor I've linked to some of the stories and even some lawmaker and the governor's own tweets on our Facebook page at facebook.com/KVNUFTP. And we'll be back with more of For the People after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 5:34, and the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. Friends and family of a 4-year-old Hiram boy are asking for help as the toddler recovers in the hospital after being struck by a truck Friday afternoon. The accident occurred around 1:45 p.m. at 1170 East, 300 South, near Canyon Elementary School. According to the boy's mother, Lincoln was riding bikes with friends when he was accidentally hit by the truck. The vehicle didn't have enough time to stop and hit him head on. The impact threw the boy away from the truck while the bike was run over and crushed. Mother called it an absolute miracle. Emergency crews were called to the scene. They reported the boy was conscious and alert but bleeding from his mouth and nose. He also had a laceration on his leg. Paramedics transported the boy to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Lincoln's mother posted on social media that her son had lots of road rash. The most significant injury was a small brain bleed requiring neurological tests. Cache County Sheriff's Lieutenant Mickelshan Barshi said all indications are that the crash was accidental and a case of a little boy being a little boy. The driver of the truck showed no signs of impairment and was not issued any citation. The boy's mother reported today that Lincoln made some small steps towards his healing. He had passed all of his cognitive evaluations and started to eat. His energy is also increasing, and he was able to go on a walk in a wagon to cheer him up. A GoFundMe page has been created to help the boy's family with medical expenses. By this afternoon, it had already raised more than $1,500. Authorities say the bodies of 2 men reported missing after going jet skiing on Utah Lake have been found. Searchers found the body of 1 man Sunday morning and found the second man soon after. The men are brothers, believed to be in their 30s. The spokesperson for the Utah County Sheriff's Office says that they were both wearing life vests for the outing on the state's largest freshwater lake. He says authorities do not know whether they suffered some kind of injury or simply fell into the lake. The wife of one of the men called to report them missing early Saturday. A database on police decertification shows that 44 Idaho police officers had their law enforcement certifications revoked because of misconduct in 2020. The Idaho Statesman reports that records show these disciplinary actions are up from 2019, when 39 officers were stripped of their credentials. Officers can lose their certification based on various allegations of misconduct, including drinking on duty or lying during an investigation. The newspaper says officers decertified in 2020 include a sheriff who was found guilty of raping a minor and an officer who pled guilty to stealing nearly $50,000 from clients of his property management business. Since 2002, the database shows 486 Idaho officers have been decertified. KVNU News Time is 5:38.
U&I Furniture works hard at stocking up on what customers want. If you shop their store and see something you like, you can purchase it and take it home. U&I has a great selection of popular styles of sectionals and bedroom sets. And if you're looking for a chair, they have hundreds of chairs. U&I also wants you to know the technology of beds has changed so much. So if you're sleeping on an old mattress, you might consider a new one. And U&I has the full line of Maloof line of mattresses, sheets, pillows, and adjustable bases. If you're furniture shopping, you'll find a better buy at U&I Furniture, downtown Logan.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly cloudy, 40% chance of showers and thunderstorms this evening, then partly cloudy after midnight. Some thunderstorms could produce strong gusty winds and small hail this evening. Overnight low in the lower 40s. And then mostly sunny, upper 70s on Tuesday. Sunny to partly cloudy, upper 70s on Wednesday as well. More showers back in the forecast starting Wednesday night. It's been to 72. Right now it's 67 at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by CBD7. If you want CBD, you want what works. You want CBD7. CBD7 helps pets, too. Order CBD7 online or look for the big pink CBD7 sign at 473 South Main in Logan. Learn about CBD and try their best for free. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Pristine wilderness can still be found in the West, where creeks run freely and historic apple trees still bear fruit. Maple Creek Ranch features breathtaking canyon views and opportunities for real estate development. 2.5-acre lots are now available with adjacent wilderness areas that provide endless riding and recreational possibilities. So find your piece of paradise just 35 minutes from Logan at Maple Creek Ranch. Schedule your appointment online at maplecreekranch.net.
Okay, now, listen up. If you like a little variety in your life and you like to work outside, I have the job for you. Logan Extermination is looking for hard-working, motivated technicians to help them keep up with their booming business. This is a great paying job with full or part-time employment available, and your day is never the same. Pay is $13 to $15 per hour with paid training and certification. Call today, 752-8450. That's 435-752-8450. Logan Extermination is excited to add you to their family.
If you are looking to build or remodel, go with a company who works with the top custom builders in northern Utah. Chim Chimney offers an array of units from Fireplace Extraordinaire, including the highest heat output options if you want significant heating potential. Or you can go with the entry-level Pro Builder series. Whatever model you choose, Chim Chimney will work alongside you from planning to installation to move-in ready. That's Chim Chimney in Logan and Brigham City. We sell, service, and install Lopi. Visit us at chimchimney.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of our future and getting back to what we love as more and more people get their COVID-19 vaccine. At the American Lung Association, we have science-based public health information you can trust to make a decision about the COVID-19 vaccination for yourself. Visit lung.org or call 1-800-LUNG-USA for more information.
Rhymes with winning. Anyone? Yeah, that would be us.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. We, of course, take listener-suggested topics or research projects, all of that. You can email them in at kvnuftp@gmail.com or post them as a comment on Facebook, Twitter, any of those things. Although, I'll be honest with you, I'm experiencing a little social media burnout for the last couple of months, so a bit slower of a response on social media than most people are used to, I would guess. So email is probably the best way, kvnuftp@gmail.com. And listener-suggested topics are always fun. We had a great interview just last week with a train historian, which was a listener wanted to know more about the Cache-Pocatello connection. And even this train that for a brief period of time took people from Cache Valley up to Yellowstone in a passenger rail route. Didn't last very long, which kind of surprises me. You'd think it would have been popular. It wasn't. And fun conversation. That was generated by a listener wanting to know more, wanting to know if we knew of any train historians. I didn't, but we found one. That interview, by the way, can be heard on our podcast and also read about at CashValleyDaily.com in the story there. Man's name is Thornton Waite, W-A-I-T-E, and he is an amateur historian but has been researching and writing about, in about 9 different books so far, trains in the American West. He's been doing that for a few decades. So, smart guy. Fun conversation. An example of some of the things that our listeners get us thinking about. So please, if you have an idea, a request, anything like that, something you'd just like to hear talked about more, send them in, kvnuftp@gmail.com. This one also comes from a listener. Unfortunately, and this is actually part of the story I'm here to report, unfortunately, I could not find anyone to speak to this, to answer the questions. But it was a great question sent in from a listener late last week. We didn't have time to get to it on Friday's show, but the question was, are the bathrooms going to be open at city parks, county locations, state parks, national parks. If you traveled at all outdoors in 2020, that's probably one of the first things you noticed is that most of the public facilities at rest stops, sometimes at national park pull-offs and even stay locations, most of the public facilities that are there for convenience or those occasional emergencies that come up after a long drive, they were locked for public safety reasons, and it was a smart thing to do. If you've ever been in some of those locations, they are grouping points of large numbers of people that for some weird reason seems to come in waves. I noticed that once at the Bear Lake lookout, there at the summit of the canyon, heading down into Bear Lake. I was waiting there for some people who had been having car trouble through the canyon. I wanted to make sure they made it through. I ended up waiting about an hour, and I noticed that people would come in every 10 minutes. Big wave of people, then empty parking lot. I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, the bathrooms would be locked. This was hugely inconvenient and for most people, unexpected as well. There was no big public service announcement about this. They were just suddenly locked. So a listener wanted to know, are they going to be open yet if they plan to travel towards Yellowstone? And so I thought, that's a dang good question. And I reached out. And here's what I found. And this is why we don't have a guest to speak to any of this, what you can expect in national parks, state parks, and more. What I found out is that no one really has an answer right now. In fact, I would put it this way. It's case by case. Here in Utah, I was directed by the Department of Natural Resources to the Coronavirus Task Force website, coronavirus.utah.gov, and there's a tab there where you can click on recreation. The information there says this: visit parks and recreation areas during a weekday or during non-peak hours. These are their recommendations for staying safe, considering, COVID-19 still spreading throughout Utah, including here in Cache Valley, but also still spreading in Wyoming, much more so actually, though they're not really testing for it anymore, so who knows. Idaho as well, still having, some significantly, or at least noticeably high case counts, though seeing a decline over the last couple of months like Utah did. They haven't declined as much as a percentage of population at least. So people understandably going to be concerned about this and wondering what the safety rules are going to be as we transition out of the pandemic, which is going to take us a few months, maybe at least 2. So I don't know, folks. I tried so hard to get this answer for everyone. But what I did learn is that the decisions haven't necessarily been made yet. So again, I was pointed towards coronavirus.utah.gov/recreation, and also recommended that you check the state of the location you're headed to. If it's a state park or a national park in, say, Wyoming, check out Wyoming's own coronavirus information page, which I couldn't find. Idaho has a great one, though, and it is also available at idaho.gov. This is basically what the Utah one says. It's a bunch of recommendations about being careful traveling during weekdays if you can to avoid running into crowds. Stay home if you're sick, obviously. I mean, that should be a rule generally all the time. Don't go out in public if you're sick. Keep recreation areas clean yourself. Pack out what you bring in and avoid unnecessary risk if you're uncomfortable about this. No word whatsoever on any change to the state rules that had all the public facilities closed last year. So what did the national parks have to say about this? Same thing. No one really knows. No one was sure. What I did hear is that for the most part in, say, Yellowstone, things have gotten a bit back to normal. But Yellowstone, of course, doesn't officially kick off and unlock the doors on those public restrooms until Labor Day, or Memorial Day, sorry. So that one's not going to be an option right now. As far as state parks go, or public facilities that you can find throughout the Uinta-Wasatch Cache National Forest, here is the definitive answer. Good luck. You might find some that are open. You might find some that are still locked. The state apparently hasn't provided any guidance on this here in Utah, and so some locations are going with the last thing they heard, which is keep the public facilities locked for public health reasons. Others, hearing the news that, the mask mandate was lifted, vaccination rate continues to climb and more, have decided to open those public restrooms back up. But again, as far as consistency goes, as far as a guarantee that there will be public facilities for you along your route to a state or a national park here in Utah or even in a nearby state, it's anyone's guess. The Salt Lake Ranger District, the Pleasant Grove Ranger District, Heber-Camas Ranger District, Evanston Mountain View Ranger District, all of them told me they're waiting to hear from the state. So there's your answer. Appreciate you asking, but there's your answer. We'll let you know if something more definitive comes down the pike. For the People continues right after this.
This is the big one. The annual Makita Demo Days at Industrial Tool and Supply is May 20th from 10 to 2. This huge event is held only once a year. Prices on Makita tools are at their lowest. Check out these Makita Demo Days specials, including blowout Makita Bear tools starting at $99, batteries starting at $69, free goods with purchase. Talk with Makita reps on site. Hurry, stock is very limited. You'll find what you need at Industrial Tool and Supply in Logan.
What a year! And 2021 just started. If you're like most people, good sleep has been a challenge. If you have sleep apnea and can't use CPAP, great sleep is even harder to come by. Fortunately, there's a treatment option that will give you the sleep you dream of. It's called Inspire. It works inside your body with just the click of a remote. That's right, a button. No mask, no hose, just sleep. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you and review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
You've talked about it for years.
Someday, I want to take down those trees, build a gazebo, and plant a garden.
For you, that someday is today.
Whole Tree Care is who Cache Valley trusts to prune, shape, and remove trees. Nobody has more experience. Fruit trees, dead trees, overgrown trees. Call Whole Tree Care. 760-6587. Ask about a radio discount. Whole Tree Care. 760-6587. Online at wholetreecare.com.
You've been putting up with a dirty, dusty wood stove for years. Why haven't you changed it? Go to Advanced Fireplace and Stove in Logan. Look through their showroom for ideas on Quadra-Fire pellet and wood stoves and Heat and Glow gas fireplaces. They have several demos in place so you can see firsthand how your project will look. And you can trust the pros at Advanced Fireplace and Stove. They'll do the job right. Advanced Fireplace and Stove. 752-7272. Online at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. Some stores that can't find enough workers are taking desperate measures like training clerks and managers to become data scientists. Find out where it's happening. Also, what's the course of action when divorced parents disagree on whether to get their child vaccinated? And why community college remains unaffordable for so many Americans. Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News. From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Wrapping up today's show with bears. Don't get to say that often. Utah, of course, in a drought situation. Utah's snowpack 50 to 60% below original levels on average, and 90% of the average bear's diet relies on root-like vegetation, food that is harder to find when droughts set in. And the Utah Department of Wildlife Resources, DWR, sent out a warning today. The warning is for the general public, and it says simply, the likelihood of bear conflicts increases during a drought year, something we know, due to the lack of normal food sources available, causing the animals to go hunting for sustenance in unexpected places. Wildlife experts know that bear expand their average travel range through a feeding season, the summer and into the fall, by upwards of sometimes hundreds of miles in drought conditions. Darren DeBluis, a Utah Division of Wildlife Resources Game Mammals Coordinator, in the statement, said, we're getting ready for reports in some areas of the state where bears are getting into, we're already getting reports in some areas of the state where bears are getting into people's garbage, scavenging for food. Bears could be more aggressive this year as well than normal as they try to obtain food. So we really want to get the word out. We want people to be aware and do all they can to eliminate food sources and not draw bears to their area in the first place. The statement, again, released today. I've linked to it on our Facebook page if you'd like to read it in its entirety. Bears don't care what they eat. That's one of the issues here. And if they're hungry, they start scavenging. And if they start scavenging, they sometimes have to start expanding how much they travel, heading out into areas where they haven't been seen for years in previous drought systems that have set in here in Utah in decades past. And, of course, bear interactions, though most of the time without incident, when there is an incident, it is unpleasant for everyone involved, including the bear, but is a serious concern for wildlife officials. Bears sniff out human food, DWR says, and that can include even backyard barbecuing. It's something that they might catch a whiff of in their natural habitat if their natural habitat is expanded by 100 miles, 150 miles even, due to the drought conditions. And Du Bois said once a bear finds food, it will often be back and become more aggressive each time as it perceives any threat to its food as a threat to itself. In other words, the statement says, stay alert, protect yourself from hungry bears, and be prepared for at least the possibility this year of more bear sightings in areas where you, if you're an avid camper, hiker, or even live somewhere with a nice view from your backyard, you might not have seen a bear in a long time or before, including areas, DWR says, of central Utah, coming west from the Uintas there. So they have some advice in the statement as well, and DWR's advice is pretty simple. Don't leave food and personal belongings out in the open or in a tent, especially scented items, toothpaste, deodorant, red licorice is another. The hungry bear will ravage a tent if it smells something it can eat, not intending to cause harm, but it will. DWR recommends storing scented items inside a trailer or a car, or actually invest in a bear-proof container or bag that can be hung from a tree. Black bears often creep into campsites anyway, neighborhoods as well, looking for food here in Utah in some areas. But again, DWR says their range this summer, due to the drought, is likely to expand. DWR also recommends for people in many areas of the state to invest in bear-proof trash cans. And through simple measures like this, they said you can lower your chance of an incident should a bear decide to wander into your neighborhood. And, of course, clean up after yourself. Don't set up a bad situation for the people coming to the campsite before you. Garbage thrown around in the trees outside of the designated disposal areas. Even raw sewage dumped from house trailers, a dirty trick that most of us have probably seen one Yahoo or another pull in the canyons. Can also be something that attracts a bear to campsites. So don't put others camping after you at risk. And, of course, the basics. DWR says never feed the bear. Remove all items that attract bears. If you're concerned about this in your backyard, things you might want to consider holding off on this summer, bird feeders, fruit trees can be a problem, compost piles, beehives are a big bear favorite, pet food and water bowls, and unsupervised outdoor pets. Yes, Sparky is food to a very hungry bear. Check it out. They also have some tips on what to do if you encounter a bear. Don't run or climb a tree. Stand your ground. Never back up, lie down, or play dead. Those are all myths. Stand your ground. Black bears are excellent climbers, can run up to 35 miles an hour. You can't outrun or outclimb them. What you can do is make them nervous enough that they decide you're not worth it. If a bear stands up, grunts, moans, or makes other sounds, it's not being aggressive. That's what bears do. These are ways bears get a better look and smell. If a black bear does attack, fight back, DWR says. Never give up. People have successfully defended themselves from almost anything: rocks, stick, backpacks, water bottles, even their hands and feet. DWR's website has a lot of tips, and they also recommend you visit Wild Aware Utah. That website can be found on our Facebook page, or you can visit protect.us and click through to Wild Aware Utah. Again, a warning from the DWR today, something we don't hear here in Utah often, but a bear warning from DWR for parts of the state not used to seeing bears. They think the drought is going to expand the odds of doing exactly that this summer. I've linked to the full statement and some of the advice they offer through various websites on our Facebook page. And appreciate everyone tuning in today. Stay tuned tomorrow on the show. We're going to be talking about the upcoming legislative session, what lawmakers will and will not be discussing at the legislative special session this week. That's tomorrow on For the People at 4. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.
Covering all the news. Stay with 610 AM and 102.1 FM. Breaking news and stimulating talk. KVN.